New Year's fireworks were still lighting up the San Francisco sky when luxury turned into panic at the Fairmont Hotel. Just after 2:50 a.m. on January 1st, emergency crews rushed to the 14th floor of the historic landmark where Victoria Kafka Jones, the daughter of Hollywood icon Tommy Lee Jones, was discovered unresponsive in the hallway. She was only 34. In minutes, a glamorous celebration at one of the city's most exclusive hotels turned into a full-on lockdown scene. Before sunrise, whispers had already spread through Hollywood circles. A dispatch call reportedly described it as a Code 3 for overdose color change, a phrase that immediately set off waves of speculation about what might have happened. But something about this case felt different from the usual celebrity crisis. The official report claimed there was no trauma, no sign of self-harm, and no evidence of any illegal substances nearby. Paramedics declared her gone at the scene, yet nobody could explain why she was found alone outside any registered room on that marble-floored corridor. Witnesses later told TMZ that one hotel guest first assumed she had simply fainted after the New Year's festivities until they realized it was something far more serious. By 3:15 a.m., the Fairmont's grand hallways were swarming with police officers. The area sealed off behind bright yellow tape. San Francisco's office of the chief medical examiner has now confirmed that Victoria Jones, the daughter of actor Tommy Lee Jones, was found in the city on New Year's Day. Now, TMZ was first to report the news that Jones's body was discovered at the Fairmont Hotel around 3 a.m. Yesterday, after a medical emergency, was the San Francisco Fire Department confirmed they received a medical emergency call at 2:52 a.m. and that the person was sadly pronounced unresponsive when help arrived. No timeline, no context, no clear answers. That's how this story began. Hours after the discovery, authorities identified the victim as Victoria Jones, daughter of Academy Award-winning actor Tommy Lee Jones, known for unforgettable roles in The Fugitive, Lincoln, and No Country for Old Men. The family released a short, heartfelt statement through Rolling Stone and People, thanking everyone for their kindness and prayers while asking for privacy during such a painful moment. That single line became the only official word from one of Hollywood's most private families. Behind the scenes, sources in San Francisco law enforcement quietly suggested that investigators were treating the situation as accidental, at least for now. The case remains open, awaiting toxicology results that could take weeks or even months to complete. Still, confusion and contradictions have only deepened. TMZ reported that one witness at the scene claimed Victoria might have used a white powder before collapsing. When first responders arrived, they noticed her lips and fingertips had turned bluish, a sign paramedics often associate with oxygen loss. Yet, no containers, residue, or paraphernalia were found anywhere nearby. Detectives have reportedly reviewed surveillance footage from several hotel cameras to trace her final movements that night, but officials won't confirm whether she was staying at the Fairmont or visiting another guest. Even the hotel's official statement expressing sadness over an incident on January 1st. This one because, at least at the scene, what we're being told is, her clothing is on and so forth. So, there's no visible signs at the scene of trauma, but once they get her to the medical examiner and they start to examine the body, they may see some signs of trauma. There may be something there that, they didn't see at the scene. Sounded more like legal precision than genuine openness. And here's where things get even murkier. That same night, the Fairmont hosted its annual New Year's Luau, an ultra-glam event packed with live music, luxury, cocktails, and Hollywood guests letting loose. Insiders said the party ran well past midnight with smaller after-parties spreading upstairs. Victoria was reportedly seen around 2 a.m., laughing with a small group of friends at the lobby bar before heading toward the elevators. Less than an hour later, she was found unconscious. So far, no one knows if those companions have spoken to police or even been identified. What's known is that Victoria had been dealing with some personal struggles. Court documents show that in April 2025, she was arrested in Napa County for possession and being under the influence of a controlled substance. 2 months later, misdemeanor domestic battery charges followed. According to New York Post sources, she had been fighting substance issues for a while, and one officer even described her as a problem child. But those close to her insist she was genuinely trying to change. They say she had been spending more time with family, focusing on stability and keeping out of the spotlight. Her father, now 79, hasn't spoken publicly beyond the family's initial note. Understandably so, But the silence is only fueling curiosity. For decades, Tommy Lee Jones was known for his intense privacy and zero tolerance for drama. Now, that same guarded world is under harsh public glare. Even old interviews are resurfacing, like a 2006 New Yorker piece where he once joked about firing his daughter from a movie set for sleeping through an early call time. Moments that once seemed like normal parent frustrations now read like chilling foreshadowing. Reporters from Page Six and Rolling Stone have reached out to the actors' representatives, but every response keeps circling back to the same word, privacy. Even so, details keep slipping out. The Fairmont, one of San Francisco's most heavily monitored hotels, still hasn't released a full timeline of that night. Authorities confirmed that surveillance footage is under review, but none of it has been shown publicly yet. You don't want to get ahead of yourself. That's what this is, one of these things where before you get out there and say, and let's just say for the sake of our discussion, if you want to get out there, if they do determine that there is some suspicious circumstances behind it, and they're delving off into those things, you want to be very careful about coming out in a sound bite to inform the public. Investigators are said to be digging through keycard data, staff interviews, and time-stamped security footage from nearby areas. A retired homicide detective told Law and Crime that in situations like this, cases are automatically treated as suspicious until the medical examiner rules otherwise, especially when someone is discovered in a hallway instead of a private room. He explained that just because there's no visible injury doesn't mean there's no hidden cause. Internal complications or breathing-related issues can easily go unnoticed at first. Those autopsy findings could completely reshape what's now being described as a tragic accident. What's most unsettling to investigators right now is the total lack of context. There was no phone found beside her, no handbag logged into evidence, and no confirmed record of who actually made the initial emergency call. A hotel guest reportedly notified staff after discovering Victoria, but that person's identity still hasn't been revealed. And in a building filled with cameras, it's almost unbelievable that not one public clip has surfaced showing her final movements. Naturally, the speculation is spreading fast. Commentators online are tying Victoria's fate to a wider pattern. Young Hollywood insiders found in mysterious circumstances at upscale hotels with polished statements arriving before the full facts do. Some of the wilder rumors hint at symbolic or ritual-like undertones, though none of that has been backed up by evidence. Still, those whispers continue largely because the official explanations leave so many blanks. When the daughter of a movie legend collapses inside a luxury hotel as the new year begins, while A-listers party just floors away, even the simplest version of events starts to sound scripted. Each new report adds another odd detail. The missing friends, the spotless hallway, the perfectly timed 911 call. It's a story that refuses to settle, no matter how many times people try to close it. Police maintain they're still awaiting lab results. The hotel insists it's cooperating fully, and the family continues to ask for quiet. But in Hollywood, silence only makes curiosity grow louder. All that's left now is the image of that empty hallway, the flicker of a security light, and one haunting question echoing in the air. No one seems ready to say it out loud. What really happened to Victoria Kafka Jones? And why does it feel like the story we're being told is just the tip of something far deeper still unfolding? Is it only there's no signs of external trauma? Right. I imagine that's why. And B, can that change? Can they say maybe there's no preliminary evidence of foul play, but that could change over the course of an investigation? Well, there's no signs of foul play. That's a media concoction, right? I would never use that term. When I did sound bites, I would not use that term. I would go more along the lines of what you just stated with that at this point in time, we don't have any signs of trauma on the body, but the investigation is ongoing. Every time the dust seems to settle, a new twist pops up. Sources close to the investigation quietly hint that detectives aren't just reviewing footage from the night of the incident. They're also examining video from days before it happened. It's not only about who was with her that night, but whether someone had been watching her movements earlier in the week. Insiders have claimed that Victoria checked into the Fairmont under a name that wasn't her own. If that's true, it raises serious questions. Who helped her pull that off? And why would a luxury hotel allow an alias unless someone higher up approved it behind the scenes? That's where this story shifts from tragic to strategic. It's worth noting that the Fairmont's guest list on New Year's Eve reportedly included some major players, entertainment executives, streaming network insiders, and even a known political donor who's hosted private events for celebrities looking to stay out of the spotlight. Maybe it's pure coincidence, but it fits a familiar pattern of industry elites quietly gathering in private spaces whenever reputations hang in the balance. A source close to one hotel employee even mentioned that security was unusually tight that week, with several cameras marked as being under maintenance just hours before the emergency call came in. In a city known for cutting-edge surveillance, that kind of coincidence raises eyebrows. And what happened after that call is just as strange. Local outlets reported that police immediately cleared the hotel's top floor of all guests, though officials haven't explained why. Several guests said they were told to stay in their rooms while investigators locked down the area. The hallway where Victoria was found reportedly connects two suites, usually reserved for high-profile clients who demand total privacy. Both rooms were locked when police arrived, yet neither was occupied by the people who'd originally booked them. One of the names allegedly matched a well-known producer who flew to Los Angeles that same morning. And so far, he hasn't made a single public statement. Then came the phrase everyone kept repeating in the press. That's really going to be important here, because the only odd thing about this particular case is that this young woman is by herself now, and I think it read that, or another guest. It doesn't say that they're associated with her, found her, and so. That's the first question in my mind, is who found her? Do they have any, relationship with her? No sign of foul play. A line that's supposed to calm people down, but instead it just makes everything sound more suspicious. Even a retired detective told Law and Crime that he'd never actually used that term himself, calling it more of a media invention than a real investigative conclusion. He explained that what looks like a natural passing can still hide deeper causes, things only a full medical examination can reveal. That's why the weeks of silence feel so heavy. Toxicology results can take time, sure, but it shouldn't take this much silence to admit that investigators still have questions. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, quiet whispers about deeper symbolism are beginning to swirl among those who track celebrity mysteries. Nothing confirmed, but in the vacuum of information, every unanswered question starts to sound louder. The mix of New Year's timing, a luxury hotel, and an unexplained collapse sounds all too familiar, echoing a long list of Hollywood-linked tragedies brushed off as personal struggles. Entertainment analysts note that in the past decade, several children of major actors and industry executives have lost their lives under eerily similar circumstances. In high-end hotels from Los Angeles to New York and beyond. Always alone, always after a celebration, always ruled accidental before the full reports ever came out. Some say it's just the cruel rhythm of fame, pressure, isolation, and excess. But others whisper about something more calculated, almost ritualistic, where the timing and location seem to matter just as much as the person involved. Wild theories, sure, until you start counting how many times the coincidences line up. And this wasn't just any random hotel. The Fairmont is legendary. The same grand venue that's hosted A-list galas, film festival events, and elite charity balls connected to Hollywood's award season. Its ballroom even doubled as a movie set once. The place is known for discretion. A former security contractor once claimed the hotel had quiet protocols for handling high-profile guests, including private entry points and special cleaning crews whose work never hits the official records. If that's true, someone could move in and out of that floor without leaving any trace on the system. I would think in a particular event like this where you have, at least on the onset, I would categorize it as a suspicious. There's no way to explain. Apparently there are no signs of trauma on the body that we can see. I think at HPD anyway, we would send a pair out. Add in the fact that several cameras were conveniently marked as under maintenance that same night, and suddenly those blank spots in the story start multiplying fast. Sources close to Tommy Lee Jones's inner circle described the family's mood as shattered but cautious. They've faced media storms before, but this one hits differently. Insiders say the actor has completely withdrawn, staying at his Texas ranch, avoiding all calls, and refusing to make public comments. One longtime friend told reporters that he doesn't want this turned into a circus. Ironically, that silence might be doing the opposite. Because in Hollywood, when a famous family retreats, the void fills with rumor. And rumor loves a mystery wrapped in fame, money, and secrecy. Meanwhile, investigators are digging deeper. Reports confirm that detectives have requested full access to Victoria's digital data, her messages, phone calls, and GPS history in the hours leading up to that night. According to a tech insider familiar with the subpoenas, her phone's final signal pinged several blocks away from the Fairmont at 1:47 a.m., nearly an hour before she was discovered. If that's accurate, it raises one haunting possibility. Someone else might have carried or moved her device afterward. And if so, the mystery behind Victoria's final hours is far from solved. It's possible the phone signal simply bounced. But investigators reportedly aren't ruling out something more deliberate. The missing device, the alias check-in, the timing gaps. Each detail feels like a puzzle piece that refuses to click into place. And then there's the Hollywood undercurrent, the one no official report ever dares to mention. Whispers have always followed certain high-profile circles. Rumors that some gatherings double as exclusive. Events where business, influence, and power quietly overlap. Every generation of insiders has its own version of that myth. That fame isn't just earned, it's exchanged. Victoria's middle name, Kafka, has only fueled online theories suggesting she might have been born into that elite current, but struggled to play by its rules. I also have seen some reports claiming that it could have been an accidental overdose. But there are some instances in 2025 where she had been arrested and there were substances involved and there had been just some recent trouble in her life, it seems. But I say there's no way this is coink. There's no proof behind those claims, of course, but we can't ignore how quickly they spread once a story like this hits the internet. Whenever mystery meets legacy, people start seeing patterns and symbols everywhere. One insider who'd worked with Tommy Lee Jones years ago even claimed the actor was deeply cautious about certain energies on set, insisting that some symbols or props be removed before filming. Maybe it means nothing. Or maybe it shows how long the family has been aware of the darker folklore that lingers around the entertainment world. The idea that success and tragedy sometimes travel the same invisible circuit gives this case a haunting weight. Whether that's myth or pattern, it makes everything feel heavier than a random accident. As of this week, police confirmed that lab results are still pending. The Fairmont maintains it's fully cooperating, and every official statement repeats the same phrase, "No foul play suspected." But when that line keeps showing up word for word across every outlet, it starts to sound less like clarity and more like a script. Way to close the door before anyone asks what's behind it. Even the family's message raised quiet eyebrows. It was signed the family of Victoria Kafka Jones with no individual names attached. That's not the usual way people express grief. It feels carefully worded, deliberate, maybe even managed. Someone somewhere seems to be controlling this narrative tightly. We've seen this before in Hollywood. Real-life chaos gets reshaped into a polished storyline. One shocking moment followed by silence, then suddenly the spotlight. We say it like that. And can that change? And to be clear, we don't, it could very well be that, right? It could very well be that this is a that is not under other kind of suspicious circumstances that someone else was involved. There could be multiple reasons, but can that change? What would lead to a change like that? How should we be thinking about it? That's going to be as a result of the investigation, right? Shifts to something new and glossy to distract everyone's attention. But not everyone forgets that easily. Detectives working the case have reportedly not closed the file, meaning this mystery isn't over. Not yet. Investigators are still waiting on the final pieces. Key card data from the Fairmont's electronic locks, plus DNA results from a single glass found near Victoria's body. Tiny clues, but ones that could change everything. These small fragments might eventually reveal how the night really unfolded, or they might just confirm what many already suspect, that we're only being shown the version of the story we're allowed to see. When you pull back and look at the bigger picture, something unsettling starts to take shape. A young heir to fame, a night of celebration, a sudden collapse, a polished report stamped no foul play. Then silence, always silence. We've seen it before. The same story, just with different faces. It's like a well-rehearsed routine repeating itself every few years, each time with the same tragic rhythm. They call it coincidence, but even coincidence starts feeling scripted after the fourth or fifth time. The luxury hotels change, the locations shift, but the choreography never does. A-listers partying upstairs, security cameras mysteriously down, paramedics rushing in after the fact, a quick investigation, a vague statement, and then nothing. The case fades away while the city moves on, and the next incident takes its place. It's as if these hotels are stages and the same invisible director keeps writing the same closing scene. That's why Victoria's passing has sparked so much speculation online. The timing, the setting, the secrecy, it all mirrors too many other unexplained Hollywood moments. Across social media, people are connecting the dots between her case and several others involving the sons or daughters of famous actors and executives who also passed under unclear circumstances. Always alone, always at night, always after a celebration, always labeled accidental. Some believe it's simply the dark side of fame, the emotional weight, the pressure, the isolation. But others think there's more to it. A theory that certain exclusive circles in the entertainment world operate by their own rules, blurring the line between art, money, and influence. They point to these high-profile nights as symbolic events, where timing and setting seem just as important as the people involved. Wild ideas, yes, but in Hollywood, even the wildest rumors often hide a grain of truth. And the more we look, the stranger the coincidences get. The Fairmont isn't just another fancy address. It's a landmark of luxury, a favorite for film festivals, charity galas, and discreet industry gatherings. That same hotel has hosted award parties, private screenings, and even political fundraisers disguised as networking events. Its history is drenched in exclusivity. A former security consultant once claimed the hotel maintained special guest procedures for certain VIPs, including private entryways, unlogged cleanup crews, and unmonitored service routes that allow guests to move unseen. If those stories are even partially true, it means someone could enter or leave that floor without leaving any trace in the official system. Combine that with the temporary camera maintenance that reportedly occurred hours before the emergency call, and the blank spaces only multiply. Add the alias check-in, the missing phone, and the mystery companions, and suddenly you're staring at a timeline full of holes. Meanwhile, the official statements remain calm and uniform. The Fairmont says it's cooperating fully. Law enforcement says toxicology results are still pending. The family asks for privacy, and every outlet repeats the same line, no sign of foul play. It's the phrase that keeps showing up in nearly every high-profile case like this, short, sterile, and strangely final. But as one retired detective said in an interview, that's not an investigative term. That's a media term. It's meant to quiet speculation, not answer questions. Even the wording in the family's message raised eyebrows. It wasn't signed personally. It simply read, "The family of Victoria Kafka Jones." Not from Tommy, not from her mother, not from a sibling, just the family. Faceless, distant, professional, almost like it was vetted before being released. In a business where every word is carefully managed, silence can speak louder than any statement. Insiders close to the family say Tommy Lee Jones has completely withdrawn. Staying at his Texas ranch, avoiding public appearances, ignoring calls, and turning down interviews. Understandably so. But that silence, that absence of raw emotion has only fueled speculation further. When powerful names retreat from the public eye, it leaves space for imagination to take over. And imagination loves a mystery, especially one that blurs the border between fame and secrecy. Some online voices have even suggested that this case ties into an ongoing cleanup inside Hollywood's upper circles. The theory goes that certain individuals who drift too far from the accepted image or who know too much get quietly pushed out of the spotlight. Nothing confirmed, nothing concrete, but the idea lingers because the same pattern keeps showing up again and again. A symbolic date, a glamorous setting, a sudden tragedy, and an ending that feels too neat. Others point to the New Year's timing as deeply symbolic. The idea of renewal through loss, a belief that's been part of old Hollywood folklore for decades. It's a story that plays perfectly into the myths surrounding the industry. That fame isn't just about talent or luck, but about what's given and what's taken. The names change, the faces change, but the narrative always returns to the same uneasy theme. Success comes with a price. We might never know the full truth about what happened that night on the 14th floor of the Fairmont. Maybe it really was a tragic accident and one that could have happened anywhere to anyone. Or maybe it's something larger, something orchestrated behind the velvet curtains of an industry that's been spinning its own legends for over a century. What we do know is that the silence around this case feels heavy, heavier than usual. The unanswered questions keep stacking up. Who were the people celebrating with her that night? And why haven't they been named? Why were the cameras down in a hotel famous for security? Why did her phone stop pinging nearly an hour before she was found? Why does every official statement sound like it's been edited by the same invisible hand? In a time when the world is more connected than ever, why do the most famous names always seem to leave behind the blurriest endings? Maybe that's the ultimate Hollywood illusion, that the show never really ends. It just moves backstage. And now it's your turn to decide. Do you think this was an unfortunate coincidence? Another sad story in a long line of celebrity heartbreaks, or was it something deeper, something the industry doesn't want the world to uncover? Whatever your take, one thing's certain. This story has already become more than a tragedy. It's now part of Hollywood's shadowed folklore, where power, fame, and secrecy always seem to meet behind closed doors. As the investigation crawls forward, that hallway at the Fairmont stands as a chilling reminder that even in the brightest city lights, darkness finds a way to hide in plain sight. So, what do you believe happened that night? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your theories. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this video with others who follow stories like this. Stay curious, stay aware, and remember, Hollywood never sleeps, and neither should the truth.